Hello and welcome back to another Torchwood Big Finish audio drama review. In today's review, I'm taking a look at The Flawless Man as written by Lauren Mooney and Stuart Pringle, the 97th release as a part of the Torchwood main range. Now, I've been really looking forward to this story since its announcement a number of months ago. I really wanted it to be released, but at the same time, I was also dreading it because, as we also now know, this range will be concluding with release 100 in 2026, and I really do not want to see it come to an end. But with that in mind, I'm also really happy that this writing duo has one final story to demonstrate just how brilliant they are, so naturally I was really excited for this one. It is available to order now on the Big Finish website on both physical CD and digital download, although do be warned the CD is a limited edition to 1,000 units. Once it's sold out, it will be sold out for good, and if any of the previous releases from the Torchwood monthly range have anything to say about it from the past year, this one will likely go out of print quite quickly. So for those of you who have had the audible pleasure of listening to the previous scripts from Lauren Mooney and Stuart Pringle over the last few years, The Flawless Man is yet another thrilling, spooky instalment to add to the anthology of stories which together form some of, in my opinion, the strongest Torchwood tales ever made. And this story takes the strengths of those previous stories, blending together real-life, science fiction, hauntings, and stories passed down through generations and cultures to create yet another memorable story full of the writer's very own twists and turns. But The Flawless Man has a unique flavour compared to those other stories, because it's less remote. With the Lincolnshire Poacher, the Grey Mare and Poppet, they are set in more rural, countryside locations. Even with Dog Hop, it had that degree of isolation because it was based within a local community pub, and we didn't really venture further beyond that. But The Flawless Man, for the first ever time, takes on an urban environment, the inner workings of the Welsh police force, and it creates a really spooky, thrilling horror experience set within the familiar police procedural drama. There is a dead body, but questions arise surrounding the nature of that person's death, mainly by Andy, who feels uncertain and he thinks that something else is going on. So Martin Binns has been found dead, submerged in his own dirty bathwater by his security work colleague Daniel Swanson. He is brought in for interview by D.I. Sharma and Sergeant Andy Davison as a person of interest, naturally, and it's soon clear that this is a man who is very disturbed by what he has witnessed, the environment of which that Martin was living within, but also his mind is quite distracted by rather worrying thoughts which leave him constantly irritable. It's one of those performances which instantly grabs your attention. There is also a little bit of strong language thrown in there as well, so it rather adds to the tense nature of the scene, and as always, of course, Torchwood is only really suitable for older listeners. So D.I. Priya Sharma leads the investigation, and it's a wonderful, believable performance from Barty. You sense her authority, the way that she clashes with Andy, but also that intrigue for answers. I felt like I understood her as a person, but most of all, liked her character, which is important as she's technically the lead of this story. As at this point in time, it's 2010, Andy hasn't really received any promotion, his experiences with Torchwood are quite minimal. I think that Tom Price captures that younger Andy Davison well. He has a very open mind, he's very inquisitive, and most of all, likeable. It's also nice hearing Andy do somewhat normal, everyday police work, a little bit of investigating, a little bit of interviewing and questioning, and it just goes to show that even being in this police setting, which is quite rare, despite all the spooky stuff going on, that normality of the day-to-day brings with it really interesting stories and character development moments. I do love listening to Tom Price on audio. I think he is overall a really great character that he's formed with Andy over the years. Rather brilliantly, the drama even addresses its similarity to a police procedural ITV-style TV show, but it is ultimately so much more than that as well. But if we pursue the ITV police drama trope angle for the moment, as an avid fan of Vera, naturally I felt very at home within this story. It's very cosy crime, but it's also incredibly impressive how it manages to hit all the nails that you come to expect when it comes to a drama like this, but within a self-contained, just under 1 hour drama, especially when you consider that a normal police procedural is often feature length or spanning multiple episodes, and it goes to show that every single scene, every moment, every character really counts. The way that this story is told sufficiently delivers on all of the pointers. I felt intrigued by the death, the mystery that unravels travels surrounding the death, the potential leads and associated persons which surround it too, the dynamics within the investigative team as they both pursue different angles and beliefs, and even that fluid movement between each scene. Often a scene will end with a question or trigger for the next, much like an ITV drama again, so it's very satisfying to listen to. You can be took along with this mystery. And as always with this range, the overall production is really high quality, together with the sound design, music and editing. It hits every single note of a police procedural, cosy crime drama, but also it has that sci-fi involvement as well, so it feels very fast-paced and modern. The flow of questioning, interviewing, glimpsing into the evidence, and that influence of the present, but also it's elevated to a whole other level by integrating that thriller horror aspect. And overall, I think that this makes this whole audio drama really memorable and impactful. Lauren and Stuart have a habiting of establishing story concepts which stick in the mind and in fact encourage a re-listen. Their stories are the type of adventure that you want to listen to again. In fact, I've made a point of now pretty much developing a tradition to listen to The Grey Mare every single Christmas. It's a story that I actively look forward to returning to. And also, interestingly, there is zero direct reference to Torchwood or any of the other characters within Torchwood throughout The Flawless Man other than Andy himself, who, to be honest, could be just any other police officer. Or at least from what I can recall, there's not really many Torchwood references. And I think that may put some people off, but at the same time, I think it's important to point out, as this release is yet another example of how this range is a perfect catalyst for unique, fresh, inspiring storytelling. Yes, it's set within the world of Torchwood, but that doesn't really matter. I find myself recommending this range time and time again to those who haven't even heard of Torchwood, because its narratives, the immersing, engaging listening experience, and the characters that we meet along the way make this range stand out, and most of all are a perfect illustrative example of the strengths of the audio drama medium, and to me it is yet another reason as to why the Torchwood line coming to an end in its current form with Big Finish is such a loss, because in my opinion it provides a creative stage like no other range that Big Finish currently produce, and also it's an escape from the standard Doctor Who format. I don't know about you, but sometimes I do get a little bit tired of Doctor Who. It's like the same formula often repeated, but with Torchwood you're getting something new and bite-sized every single month. And yes, sometimes the stories are quite heavy, but most of all, I just enjoy clicking play and being taken to another place and meeting these new people. Now, I don't really want to talk about the actual draw of this story too much, being the Flawless Man themselves, because I don't want to say too much and ruin the twists of this story. But the character of Sarah Davies really helps bring the idea alive, her vivid descriptions, and again it's that tie to reality, culture and folklore that I always love from Lauren and Stuart. It makes the concept feel eerily closer to home, rather than just being completely made up. The way that this plot spans years, the way the ideas have grown and influenced and dominated the imaginations of those involved is really unnerving. Matthew Woodgett offers an incredibly impressive performance as Daniel Swanson. He is vulnerable, captivating and intense. That scope of fear, anger and all of that tied up in past personal experiences, the way that he and his friends have held on to things and the influence that has had, the way that it's shaped their lives in rather negative ways. Daniel feels surreal and troubled. Again, like a crime novel, the way history and relationships inform the current events, the death of Martin is really well done. It gives the story overall this well-rounded nature. Now, as for more sci-fi stuff, there are elements of this story that are somewhat found footage in style via VHS tapes, which gives the listener a great understanding of the younger characters within this story, and the sound design within these segments, the whirring, the unstable nature of the VHS recording is beautifully done and believable. It's creepy and reminds me almost of the Blair Witch Project, which I think is the exact thing that they are trying to replicate. And again, that is what I respect about Mooney and Pringle's writing. They aren't gatekeepers. They aren't afraid to say how and where they have been influenced from. But without fail, they don't just take an idea and just make it into a story. What they do is bring their own creativity to the table as well. They mash together ideas, enhance character lines through varied and personal dialogue, dialogue so the characters leap off the page. There's a richness always to their scripts, and I think that also enhances the creativity and challenges for everyone else involved as well. The concept encourages bold sound design, bold music and editing, and together it allows the listener's imagination to really run wild. I don't know about anyone else, but if I was a sound designer or working within audio, I'd probably see the author's names for this story and know that I'm going to probably be taken on a really fun ride bringing the idea to life, but also at the same time it's probably going to be quite difficult work. There are lots of things to take in with this story, small details dropped in through the dialogue that demonstrate different people's perspectives. There's little nods which I came to appreciate even more on second listen, and again it's the story and atmosphere which keeps the flawless man alive, making the experience really eerie. And that's what makes listening to these stories on multiple occasions really rewarding. Blair Mowat's music, especially as always, adds a beautifully gritty nature to this release, especially when Andy and Priya are investigating the site of the death and the various clues. There's lots of vivid imagery here, but also when Daniel Swanson recollects his student days as well, that whole scene is really unsettling. The music is haunting, it gets the heart beating, especially if you're immersed in this story whilst, say, listening at night. I think that Torchwood and nighttime listening is so perfectly suited together. The way the story is structured too, it requires lots of one-to-one conversation between Andy and Priya as they analyse the case in its various different angles, and Lauren and Stuart have a skill to craft these conversations so naturally, and this always impresses me. I found both Tom and Barty really easy to listen to. The bond has clear history, the dialogue flows with a really natural, unscripted manner, which yes may sound like a bare minimum, but obviously as an older fan I know that this isn't real, and I think that even as an older fan I can just put that to a side for one moment and believe that it is. I can almost regress back into the mind of a child watching Doctor Who and thinking that's real. It's almost impossible not to get sucked into the story, and it's having dialogue that just flows in this natural way that I think is really underestimated. So The Flawless Man is yet another thrilling and inventive tale from Stuart and Lauren. Hearing them flourish within Torchwood over the last few years has been an absolute joy, delivering hit after hit. Together, they have devised some of the most memorable, impactful, and absolutely unnerving stories that I've ever experienced within the audio drama medium, and The Flawless Man is a fitting conclusion to that Torchwood legacy. Striking concepts, immersive, unnerving sound design, and imperfect humans with stories to tell, supported through creative, cinematic music scores. I firmly believe that this is audio drama at its very, very best. And above all, just thank you, Lauren and Stuart. Thank you for telling these stories, and thank you to the Torchwood production team for letting it happen and bringing these incredible writers on board, because without Torchwood, I'd have no idea about them, and I'm so glad that I now do. So there we go, that is Torchwood, The Flawless Man. Do I recommend this one? Yes, absolutely, especially if you've listened to Lauren and Stuart's previous work, and if you haven't, what the hell are you doing with your life? Go and listen to some of their previous stories, as well as this one, because they are wonderful. So thank you very much for watching this review, I really hope you have enjoyed it. Do of course stay tuned on those productions for regular reviews and reaction to the latest Big Finish releases. Have a nice day, I shall see you all next time.